Good morning, boys and girls. I just pretended that I heard you say it back to me. Feel free to say it at home if you want to. All right, so this morning I'm going to do a shout out to the Cougars. I didn't get to do that in the last video. Good morning, Peyton. Thank you very much for your vocab sentences yesterday. Good morning, Nathan V. Thank you for your vocab sentences. And Caitlin, good morning. Thank you very much for your vocab sentences. I appreciate that. So today we're at the bottom of 153. It's Wednesday, February 16th, 1944. Dear Kitty, it's Margot's birthday. Peter came at 12:30 to look at the presents and stayed talking much longer than was strictly necessary, a thing he'd never done otherwise. In the afternoon, I went to get some coffee, and after that, potatoes, because I wanted to spoil Margot for just that one day in the year. I went through Peter's room. He took all his papers off the stairs at once, and I asked whether I should close the trapdoor to the attic. Yes, he replied. Knock when you come back, and then I'll open it for you. I thanked him, went upstairs, and searched at least 10 minutes in the large barrel for the smallest potatoes. Then my back began to ache, and then I got cold. Naturally, I didn't knock, but opened the trapdoor myself. But he still came to meet me most obligingly and took the pan from me. I've looked for a long time. These are the smallest I could find, I said. Did you look in the big barrel? Yes, I've been over them all. By this time I was standing at the bottom of the stairs, and he looked searchingly in the pan, which he was still holding. Oh, but these are first rate, he said, and added when I took the pan from him, I congratulate you. At the same time, he gave me such a gentle, warm look, which made a tender glow within me. I could really see that he wanted to please me, and because he couldn't make a long complimentary speech, he spoke it with his eyes. I understood him, oh so well, and was very grateful. It gives me pleasure even now when I recall those words and that look he gave me. When I went downstairs, Mummy said that I must get some more potatoes, this time for supper. I willingly offered to go upstairs again. When I came into Peter's room, I apologized at having to disturb him again. When I was already on the stairs, he got up and went and stood between the door and the wall, firmly took hold of my arm and wanted to hold me back by force. I'll go, he said. I replied that it really wasn't necessary and that I didn't have to get the particularly small ones this time. Then he was convinced and let my arm go. On the way down, he came and opened the trap door and took the pan again. When I reached the door, I asked, "What are you doing?" "French," he replied. I asked if I might glance through the exercises, washed my hands, and went and sat on the divan opposite him. That kind of makes me think that they're stuck in the secret annex. Life is still going on, and they're still doing homework. It's been over a year and a half, and they're still doing classwork. He's learning French, learning how to write it and how to speak it. So kind of like you guys are at home and you're still doing schoolwork. We soon began talking. After I'd explained some of the French to him, he told me that he wanted to go to the Dutch East Indies and live on a plantation later on. I underlined that because we're going to talk about his wishes and dreams next week. He talked about his home life, about the black market. That's where you sell things that aren't legal, like the ration cards that we had talked about, the counterfeit ones. And then he said he felt so useless. I told him that certainly he had a very strong inferiority complex, so he didn't feel very good about himself. He talked about the Jews. He would have found it much easier if he'd been a Christian, and if he could have been one after the war. Why would it be easier? In the comments, can you guys let me know? Why would it have been easier for him to have been a Christian during this time? I asked if he wanted to be baptized, but that wasn't the case either. Who was to know whether he was a Jew when the war was over, he said. So again, he's not as strong in his faith as a Jew either. It's more by descent. This gave me rather a pang. It seems such a pity that there's always just a tinge of dishonesty about him. For the rest, we chatted very pleasantly about Daddy and about judging people's characters and all kinds of things. I can't remember exactly what now. It was 4:30 by the time I left. In the evening, he said something else that I thought was nice. We were talking about a picture of a film star that I'd given him once, which has now been hanging in his room for at least a year and a half. Remember when he first got there, she felt sorry for him that he didn't have a lot for his room, so she gave him some pictures of her film stars to decorate his room with. He liked it very much, and I offered to give him a few more. No, he replied, I'd rather leave it like this. I look at these every day, and they've grown to be my friends. Now I understand more why he always hugs Mushy. He needs some affection too, of course. I'd forgotten something else he talked about. He said, I don't know what fear is, except when I think of my own shortcomings, but I'm getting over that too. Peter has a terrible inferiority complex, so she said that twice in one journal entry. For instance, he always thinks he's so stupid and we are so clever. She's talking about herself and Margot. If I help him with his French, he thanks me 1,000 times. One day I shall turn around and say, oh, shut up. You're much better at English than geography. Yours, Anne. Friday, 18 February, 1944. Dear Kitty, I go upstairs now. Whenever I go upstairs now, I keep on hoping that I shall see him. Because my life now has an object and I have something to look forward to, everything has become more pleasant. At least the object of my feelings is always there, and I needn't be afraid of rivals except Margot. So she doesn't really have any other girls to compete for Peter's affection other than her sister. This would be a good vocab word too. Don't think I'm in love, because I'm not. But I do have the feeling all the time that something fine can grow between us. Something that gives confidence and friendship. If I get half a chance, I'll go up to him now. It's not like it used to be when he didn't know how to begin. It's just the opposite. He's still talking when I'm half out of the room. Mummy doesn't like it much and always says I'll be a nuisance and that I must leave him in peace. Honestly, doesn't she realize that I've got some intuition? She looks at me so queerly every time I go into Peter's little room. If I come downstairs from there, she asks me where I've been. I simply can't bear it and think it's horrible. Yours, Anne. I think her mom's getting an idea that they might be starting a relationship, so she's just suspicious. So I'll stop there in this video and pick up at 156. See you soon.